You're listening to Jamie. You're listening to Jamie. Yeah, 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 yeah. You're listening to Jamie. Na 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 na. You're listening to Jamie. Na 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 na.
Peace and love, peace and love. Let me make sure this is on correctly. I wanted to say this right here, right now. I have been like stalling to talk about this, and I just said, you know what? It's already late. Just go ahead and do it. But y'all, I am, just I am feeling away, as most people are. And so I'm going to get into this and we're going to talk about this from an objective standpoint, in a respectful way. And I'm just going to hop right into it only because it is something that I'm going to just try to remain, uh, you know, non emotional about. Okay. That's what it is. And that's what it's giving. And make sure you are liking the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I greatly appreciate it. And I greatly appreciate you. So we know that we just got the verdict, and the sentence for this really tragic situation. Let me get this queued up. Okay. And I wanted to talk about this again, not getting into all of the nitty gritty and the details of the case, but more or less just talking about the bigger story here, right? Mm. So we understand and know that two families have lost, right? Nobody wins in this situation. There are no winners. Everyone's, impacted by this. I mean, I'm just thinking about the children who were friends of both Anthony and Metcalf. So, like, you know, people are going to be impacted by this, right? I wanted to say very clearly, swiftly, and professionally. Um, I'm not going to talk about this from a way that's nasty, negative, and salacious. I only want to talk about it in a way that really kind of outlines and defines American justice as it relates to, you know, adultification of children, racial issues, and just how our, American justice system can work or cannot work, right? Again, I wanted to say that there are no winners in this. Um, Everyone is impacted, including the children, including the staff, including the people who were around in surrounding towns and neighborhoods. I mean, even I'll go so far as to say as like the victim, the deceased, I should say, because you know Carmelo is a victim of the American justice system, right? Um, and Metcalf is a victim of what happened, right? He's a victim of the stabbing. So there are two different victims that are happening at the same time. It's like the tale of two stories, okay? And again, I want to be respectful when discussing this and talking about this because it's these are kids, right? I don't care how y'all want to flip it or dip it. These are kids, y'all. Okay? When you're 17 years old, you are a child, babe. You're a child. So, yeah, with that being said, if you're new here, hi, I'm Tremlay, okay, the girl from around the way, where we talk about popular topics, hot topics, and we talk about them in a way that helps us reshape and reframe our paradigm so that way we can live the life that we deserve. Um, I want to make sure that you know that we're going to be respectful in the comments. Nickname underscore 9536. Girl, bye. I'm not even going to get into it too much, not unless you guys are, you know, hitting up the super chats, hitting up the cash apps, sending me some gifts or some goals, babe, because it's just no need for me to, um, you know, even engage with anything. outside of what we're here to discuss, okay? So again, I'm not talking about the facts and issues of the case. We know that he will obviously have his day. Well, he already had his day in court, but he will definitely um, do an appeal, right? I'm sure that everybody's talking about that. His family is already on that. We know, and we've just seen the mugshot released from the state prison that he has been transported to. If you haven't checked it out on my stories, you'll see that. Not my stories, my short form videos. I have that there. That seems to be they have him in this like little brown tunic and they shaved his head, guys. I mean, unbelievable. Well anyway, so he was sentenced to 35 years. A Texas teenager accused of fatally stabbing one of his peers at a high school athletics event in Dallas area was found guilty by a jury on Tuesday. Okay. This has been a obviously racially polarizing trial of Carmelo Anthony. This event took place in April of 2025, which resulted in the unaliving of Austin Metcalf, and it drew national attention and it was sparking a lot of debate about self-defense and school safety, right? Um, yeah. So this both of the boys were 17 at the time, and I think that a lot of people are talking about this in a way that they are peers. They're peers in the sense that they were both 17 and they both were athletes who ran track. They went to different schools, different high schools, opposing schools, if you will, and they did not know each other prior to this event. Okay. Prior to this event, they didn't know each other. So I know it's like this idea of, oh yeah, and it was beef and this, that, and the third. Liberty High School, Centennial High School are all high schools in the county of Dillon in the city of Frisco, Texas, I believe, right? So this event took place in April. It was Rachel Anthony started and was biased. Yeah, Ophelia, I hear you, but I mean, it's one thing to be racist, but to start something at a track meet, when this kid had a 4.0 and was a stellar student and athlete, what was the point of that? I don't really see the purpose of you even saying anything like that. I'm not going to get into the comments too much, not unless you are already subscribed here. Again, you can hit me with a super chat, babe. Maybe we can get into it if you have something, beneficial to say, because obviously this is a very hard topic to discuss. Um, and, I really feel like, when we're talking about somebody should have gotten life, we're talking about premeditated, right? Obviously, he didn't go to this event looking to do anything and to harm anyone, right? Jared, right? I would hope you would think so. Okay. Hold on. Yeah, okay, Master, I see what you're saying. You're like, okay, Austin got eternity, so 35 years for Carmelo ain't nothing. I mean, I feel what you're saying because there is a life that was taken, a young guy, he was 17. But so I know that we're all kind of understanding what was happening. The judge did not allow in any cameras, which I think we should kind of get into, but that's neither here nor there. um maybe not. I mean, and since you're here, you can go ahead. Um, Jared, somebody said who has a knife at a track meet. A lot of people carry pocket knives, especially when they are, under 5 inches. That's pretty standard and typical of a guy, of a young man. Hell, even a young girl. Sometimes people carry pocket knives in cars or a pair of scissors in the event that, God forbid, you're ever in an accident and you are like cutting, something happens, you need to cut yourself out of a seatbelt. Anyway, the stabbing occurred at a track meet at the Memorial High School tent, okay? And it was at a mutual stadium at approximately 10 a.m. The altercation started when the track and field championship event was delayed due to thunderstorms and heavy downpours, at which point Anthony who had entered the memorial tent, was told to leave the tent by Hunter Metcalf, right? Who is Austin's twin. Austin is the victim, okay? And so during the argument that ensued, Anthony alleged that um he was yelling out to him, "Touch me and see what will happen," while reaching into his backpack. According to a witness, Metcalf then grabbed Anthony to move him. And what people have had mixed, I want to say, like, perceptions of it. So they called 20 people up to the witness stand out of 20 students, some including faculty. There were other people who said different things. Some people were saying that he was sad, and people were over top of him. Some people were saying that he put his hands in his pockets or his hand was in his backpack. I don't know if anybody um, believed that to be a crime, uh, or threatening even to have your hands in whatever. But let me just finish up. So basically, let me see. This is this on. Okay. All right. Y'all are so funny in the comments. So nasty and so rude. Oh my God. Unbelievable. Just so nasty and so rude. I just don't believe how, like, you know, yeah, it's unbelievable. Greg, somebody said no, they didn't. He said touch me and he got touched. Okay. So, you know, okay. Anyway, Anthony entered the memorial's tent and who was told to move out of the tent by Hunter, which was Austin's twin brother. Okay. Austin then confronted Anthony. During the argument that ensued, Anthony allegedly said, "Touch me and see what happens," while reaching his hand into his backpack. According to a witness, Metcalf then grabbed Anthony to move him. In response, Anthony pulled out a black knife from the backpack and Metcalf once in the chest before running away. Another witness in the Frisco police arrest report stated that Austin and Anthony went back and forth, and then Austin stood up, okay, and pushed him to get him out of the tent. After being stabbed, Metcalf ran down the bleachers, grabbing his chest and telling those around him to get help. When the police arrived, he was not conscious or breathing, and athletic trainers were performing chest compressions on him, and he was pronounced unalived after arriving to the hospital several minutes later. Okay. So, as he was being escorted to the police car, Anthony um, reportedly said he put his hands on me. I told him not to while he was sitting in the backseat of the police car. And he asked Metcalf, "Is he going to be okay?" Meaning the one child, the one 17-year-old was asking if the other 17-year-old was going to be okay. That is indicating concern. That is indicating interest of well-being and just the overall outcome, right? That's just him kind of coming to his faculties and understanding something major has happened, right? Okay. So um, he was obviously charged with murder and transported to the Collin County Jail. He was charged as an adult since under the Texas criminal justice system, defendants age 17 and older are prosecuted as adults. So this happened on the second. His bond was lowered from $1 million to $250,000 on April 14th, to which he was, bonded out, citing he had a clean criminal record, guys. Clean criminal record, guys. Clean criminal record, guys, and his academic and athletic achievements. Anthony was released on bond the same day. According to his release conditions, an adult was required to supervise Anthony at all times, and he was required to contact the judge bailiff every Friday morning, and he was prohibited from using social media or contacting the family of the victim. Anthony's lawyer said that he would plead not guilty and claim self-defense at his future trial. And Anthony could not have been a subject to sentence of life without parole, or the death penalty due to his age. So he could not go to the death penalty due to his age. Okay. Um, that's something to mention because of the age. the sentencing was going to be different, right? So it's either going to be like first degree, second degree. I think the first degree is what he was charged with, and this is why we see the significant um, sentence of 5 to what was it, 5 to 99 years, I believe it was. And if it was second degree, it would have been 2 to 20 years. Okay. Anyway, so the trial began with jury selection. Obviously, this happened on June 1st. And the jurors filled out questionnaires. You know how everything goes or whatever. There was nearly 600 people that was in the jury pool. Okay. During this election, the defense raised the Batson challenge after the prosecution struck three black female jurors from the pool. Okay, so the Batson challenge is essentially a Supreme Court ruling that says you can't just get rid of judges just off of the simple fact that of their race. You just can't do that. And essentially, the judge went for it and was like, no, absolutely not. The defense considered them to be similarly situated to the white female jurors, but that wasn't struck. So he was trying to pretty much show how, well, the white girls that were sitting right here, y'all were totally fine with that, but you wanted to make it seem like the black women couldn't be there when the black women are, basically similarly suited. It was the language that was used because those women were also educators and were around school age children. And so because of that, they were educators and around school age children. The judge did allow for the prosecution to let go of the three black female jurors. So he ended up sitting in front of an all white juror. Okay. An all white juror. Now, I want to say that it's important to note that Collin County, and I believe it's called Dallin County or something, they're very close and very similar. 50% of the population of the demographic there is white. And that's important to note because if you're going to have, a juror of your peers, um, even with the numbers, you know, as huge discrepancy as they are compared to Black and Asians, and there are some indigenous people who live in the area, to have no Black jurors is very significant. Okay. So anyway, um, that's just unbelievable. Y'all are in the chat just doing too much. Greg Bain, I see you. Um, Michael Knight, they were. Yeah, but also too, like things happen. People will unalive people when they're driving inebriated. Okay. That's not well, whatever. Let me finish up because I'm not about to deal with the comments. Um, I mean, Tyler, sure, sure, sure. Anyway, the prosecution argued that there were three women that were struck for race neutral reasons, namely because they were school aged, and worked around school age children. Okay. So on June 3rd, there were no Black jurors, even though there were several people of color. We don't know who the people of color were, but there were no Black jurors. And so there were some alternates that composed of 11 women and 7 men. One of the seated jurors was an educator who did not work in a traditional school environment. So, in the open statements began June 4th with Collin County District Attorney Bill stating that the killing was provoked, unjustified, and simply murder, right? In which Anthony had provoked Metcalf to touch him, and that Metcalf pushed and shoved before Anthony him in a sneak attack using a concealed knife, right? Bill stated that the case did not concern race or self defense. But the defense attorney, confronted by Metcalf and his brother, Hunter, he said it was Metcalf who first made the contact, which with the push, he initiated the contact with the push, and that Anthony reacted in a split second of fear and chaos as the group was turning on him. Howard argued that Anthony was defending himself, okay? Jurors were then shown grainy surveillance camera footage of the incidents, which prosecutors said showed Metcalf pushing Anthony and then Anthony exiting after the stabbing of Metcalf. Okay, a coach from Memorial High School then testified that it was unusual for a rival teammate to be seated in another school's tent. As Anthony was, before Metcalf confronted him, whatever the case, George also heard testimony from a coach from Liberty High School who viewed the aftermath of the stabbing as well as heard of like the 911 emergency calls following the stabbing and viewed Metcalf's bloodstained jacket. Okay, so there were both coaches that were there. um, there were people who were saying, well, he came in our tent. That's not really likely. That's not really what people do. But bear in mind, y'all, it was an outpour of thunderstorms. There was a random, raining moment. And so the tent for track people or track athletes is kind of like the bench, right? Okay, you're sitting on my bench. So I can imagine a football game, you don't really go to the other team's bench. But the difference between the bench is it's not covered, right? So um, the boy was looking for coverage, right? The defense asked Liberty High School coach if it was normal for students from different schools to converse and asked where athletes warming up would seek shelter. Students who were under the tent during the stabbing testified on June 5th, right? A student witness stated that people, including Metcalf, had confronted Anthony and asked him to leave the tent, to which Anthony allegedly said, "Touch me and find out." That's where this is coming from, a student's account, and kept his hands in his backpack, warning that he had something. Witnesses estimated Anthony was asked to leave as many as 15 times. So the altercation takes place in only 2 minutes, was what I read from some of the reports. So in only 2 minutes, he was asked to leave 15 times. The witness said that they did not try to gang up on him. And Anthony, and that the exchange lasted about 2 minutes. Cool. Multiple students labeled Anthony as the aggressor and that he had entered the tent to escape the rain. So, multiple students labeled Anthony as the aggressor and that he entered the tent to escape the rain. I mean, is he aggressive because he's trying to escape the rain? I'm confused. I'm confusion. The defense's cross examination focused on the discrepancies between the student's testimony and the account they initially provided to the law enforcement, which is fair. These are all kids, they go to rival high schools. They just witnessed something very traumatic. And there are different and varying accounts. Like, that's something to consider. I would imagine me sitting on a juror listening to all of these children. Okay, I digress. The defense cross examination, focused on the discrepancies between the student's testimony and they initially provided at the law enforcement to further establish the physical difference between Anthony and Metcalf, saying that he was maybe 50 to 60 pounds heavier, and emphasized Metcalf's and several others' positions over Anthony, who was seated. First responders, including the paramedic and the school resource officer who arrested Anthony, gave testimony as well. Okay. So these are all players from the school. The defense's case started on the afternoon of June 5th after the prosecution rested. Okay, so that was real quick. I'm gonna bring all these people who came up here, who was there. Oh, I saw what happened. His hands was in his book bag. He was trying to escape the rain. He was trying to escape the rain, but he was also aggressive. I mean, that's very that's different. It's difficult to believe right there. So anyway, um, the defense called Anthony's coach, who testified that it wasn't unusual for athletes from different schools to share tents. And the Frisco Memorial student gave a different account of the confrontation, saying Metcalf grabbed Anthony before stabbing him. However, under cross examination, he stated Anthony had provoked him. So they're going heavily and relying heavily on these witnesses who are children who have been traumatized. I want to just say that. I want to just say this again. This whole case, okay, heavily dependent on high school students who were traumatized. Okay. They were literally just traumatized. But they're going for it. They're going for it. Okay. They're going for it. That's what they decided. They in a sick ass town. That's what they're going for. Okay. So anyway, um y'all are crazy in the comments. A police officer testified that carrying a 5-inch knife is not unlawful in Texas, even though it is against school policy, right? Now, I'm sure with that being the statement, um, that cop obviously could have just said yes or no. Is it legal or not? But he gave the extra, yeah, but it's against school policy. So there's obvious biases here because it's just a very, very, very unfortunate circumstance. Okay. The defense rested on June 8th with Anthony not being called to testify. Closing arguments occurred on June 9th. I don't know whose decision that was, but if all those kids is going up there talking, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to listen. If all other students went up there and testified, I'm just saying. Okay. The aftermath and the reaction. So basically, what happened was obviously this attracted a lot of national attention, especially on social media, because of the racial undertones of the case, right? Metcalf being white, Carmelo Anthony being black. Okay. Um, the district attorney Bill and his father have said, no, 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 race has nothing to do with this case. Okay. And on top of that, the arrest report does not list race as a contributing factor. It only lists um, the fact that he went inside of the tent. There was a verbal disagreement because kids have verbal disagreements. And that's just what it is, right? So, anyway, the murder has contributed to greater racial tension, especially within the Frisco community, which has already been experiencing racial division. So, on April 19th, there was a group called Protect White Americans, and they held a protest at the same stadium which this unfortunate event occurred. And I will say that the father told this group, which is a right wing group, essentially saying like, don't use my kids' picture when you go up there. I do have some footage of that. I want you guys to take a look at what this protest kind of looked like. Um, the father claimed he did not want his son's picture at the stadium at the time of this. Let me see if this is gonna work. Hmm. No, this isn't it. Hold on, y'all. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Okay. If you haven't done so already, I greatly appreciate it and I greatly appreciate you. Okay. No, this isn't it. Why isn't it showing up? Okay, here we go. Hmm. I had a problem with this the last time. I don't even know. I'm not even gonna worry about it. I'll just play it. It's just like a small little rally. It wasn't that deep. But they're saying things that was kind of just like unbelievable, like, oh, you have to be mindful, this is tyranny, this is what our forefathers warned us about. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. It's gonna get on my nerve now. Um, uh-uh. That's cursing and everything. I had a perfect video, but it's not gonna show up here. Let me see. Okay, I think I got it. Oh wow! So the Protect White Americans organizers called Austin Metcalf's father weak for saying that he did not want because he told the people that he didn't want his kid to he didn't want his son's picture being associated with this actual case. Okay, that's crazy to me. Like what?
Jeff, it's Jake Lang here.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
Jeff, first of all, my entire heart rests in your hands. I would be in my position, not even as somebody even knew your son, but somebody that it shares the same understanding. I grew up as a 17-year-old young white man too, and I grew up in fear of my life around black people because they were killing and robbing people around me all the time. And I don't understand, as I was a father, you could sit idly by and not condemn the culture that killed your son. There is an epidemic problem in this country, and your voice could be one of the loudest voices in this country, but you've chosen to recoil out of fear and continue the suppression. Why will you not stand with me and with the rest of the people? We're not calling for racial divide. We're not calling for hatred. We're saying 350,000 attacks on white people by black people a year in this country is wrong. Why can't you stand that and say with that? Maybe you can. Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today.
Are you done?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the problem, my friend. You're trying to create more racial divide
This
instead
is
of bridging the
the
gap.
father
You are not
of
alone. Anything
Austin
you
Metcalf.
do not have any.
That's called white guilt.
No, let it talk. Of my son. Let me finish. I give you your time. You take my son's face off your website. I am not associated with you. I don't.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir. You are creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness.
Now, this is the father saying, "Don't leave me out of that. I'm not with that." Okay, I think that that's important to kind of show only because you know, what when we're having the conversation around the father being associated, the father being this, that, and the third. Now, I want to say this right here. That he mentioned something really interesting. He said, "Listen, you know, you're out here, you kind of recanted." He used the word recoil, but I mean, I'm sure it means the same thing, kind of like jerking back or whatever. Um, yeah, no, she's lying. His father said, "Don't relate his son with the white group," which he had nothing to do with. No, I'm not lying. That's exactly what I'm saying. What do you mean? You're proving like that's literally what I'm saying. People are committed to being confused, guys. Come on now. Come on. I literally just said that. Like I literally just said the father and just played the video of the father saying, um, like, I don't want my son's picture on your website. Take that shit down. He's grieving. Okay. He's a grieving father. Okay. And he's now being harassed and being called weak and everything like this because he's like, I don't want my son's picture associated with that shit. Period, point blank. Okay. Somebody else said, oh, it's illegal to knife fighting is European. Okay, yeah. Knife fighting is European because there aren't a lot of people who have access to guns there. Um, but I wanted to mention that only because this is a racially um I don't want to say racially motivated, but you know, racial tensions play a part of this case, right? And you know, even if you feel like you don't see it in you know, with the father him making the statement of saying like, "Oh no, I don't want my son associated with this and take my son off of this," or whatever the case. He also said you recanted. He also said you recoiled. So maybe there was a conversation. I'm sure he did reach out to him to send his condolences, right? That's fair. That's fair to do. But also, I just also want to point out that again, this is a school, this is a town that has 50% um white people. Okay. So even if the guy is feeling like I don't want to, have my name or have my son's name associated with this publicly, um, it just is what it is. Right. I don't and I'm not gonna say too much because I'm not even gonna give y'all the opportunity because I feel like it's a whole bunch of people in here that are just saying stuff. But yeah, no, white fatigue. It really just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, the Protect White Americans, they held a protest. They can condemn the father. Pretty much, he just was basically saying, I don't condone anything that you're doing. Um, but also, I want to just say that during the actual trial, the protests and the presence, just kept being felt. Um, there were a lot of far right activists and people who rallied with supporters outside of the courthouse and called for Anthony to be um, lynched, right? And I was debating if I wanted to say that word, and I'm sorry if I sound a little weird. This is just um, it's so unbelievable. Jameer says surveillance would have exonerated Camelo, in my opinion. I mean, I'm really honestly surprised nobody had anything on their cell phones, right? Um, all these kids have phones nowadays, or they're recording every little thing. You know what I mean? All we saw was him being pushed. We only saw Austin pushing um, Carmelo, and then after the fact. Anyway, so the new recent thing is after the whole, rallies and the supporters outside of the courthouse yelling for him to be lynched, and not to go back into Kevin Hart, but this is why I feel like it's so important for us to be careful about the language that we joke about, because this is how these people feel. This is exactly how these people feel. This is what they want to do. You're rallying outside of the courtroom, out of the courthouse, and even when he was bonded out, they did the same thing. This is mob mentality. We've seen this historically. Black people didn't even have a chance or a day in court. The mob would literally just come and take them from the community jail. So to be outside of a courthouse in Texas yelling things that rhyme with winch, is very telling on the way that these people are feeling, the way that these people are politicking, and the way that they are going about this very unfortunate and tragic case. Okay. Again, that one kid was 17 years old. They were both 17 at the time. All right, a twin. Anyway, so um well, we don't know what happened, Phil. You're trying your hardest to make excuses for someone who got stepped in the heart. No, no, no. I'm just giving you the facts before I get into my opinion. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to piss a lot of you off. And I'm telling y'all right now, I don't care. I don't care. I'm telling you, I'm just going through the motions of what happened. And then we're going to get into what I think and how I feel about it. Okay. So more recently, there's been the fundraiser debacle. So Anthony's family set up a crowdfunding campaign on Gibson Go, okay, to pay for legal defense, which raised over $500,000 by May 1st. GoFundMe crowdfunding campaigns were launched by the Metcalf's father. And I think right now, let me check it right now. So Metcalf is at 500. Wow, it just went up since the time I even created this live. It's at almost at $600,000 of the $1 million goal. The biggest donation being from Aiden Ross of $10,000. Now, Carmelo's Give Send Go was actually um, taken down from the website, and this is again one of those injustices, right? It's just one of those things that happens. And a part of the reason why they said was because of the harassment that was going on, because it was too much for them to handle. And the founder of Give Send Go basically said, like, he compared the case to Kyle Rittenhouse and Daniel Petty, stating that Anthony should be afforded the same presumption of innocence. But then after he started getting a whole bunch of donations, they took it down, basically saying, oh, well, he reached his goal or whatever the case, because they started going over. Nobody ever does that. It's literally him just seeing and recognizing, like, they probably got some outpouring from the Proud Americans or whatever, can protect white people, whatever that group is. I don't even know what the group is, girl. Protect white Americans goals. I don't know, girl. I never even heard of such a thing in my life. I'm like, what the hell is that? Um, but but anyway, the courts approved Anthony moving into an undisclosed location due to safety concerns in the pretrial period, and a nonprofit organization was working with Anthony's family. Basically, was reporting that there was an alarming increase of death threats, right, and continued harassment and physical intimidation, not only at him but his family and his home. Right, Metcalf's mother and father both had their homes swatted, with one such incident resulting in a SWAT team showing up in Metcalf's father's home with their weapons drawn. So both of these families are going through shit, right? Both his house got swatted, they're getting doxxed, they're getting threats. Um, just a whole bunch of things are happening. Okay. Again, the racial divides are high in this county. Again, where 50% of people who live in this area are white people. Okay. And one thing I learned about doing some quick research is, like, Frisco, Texas, apparently, just got it. Actually, I'm lying. Not Frisco, Texas. Oh no, it is Frisco, Texas. So basically, they got their name from the St. Louis, like, Francisco Railway that was being built in 1902. And when they were in the Dallas area, they were being settled by, or I don't even want to say settled, they were being overcome, and the land was being taken by American pioneers. Many of the settlers traveled by wagon trains along the Shawnee Trail, and then that later became the Preston Trail, which is now Preston Road, right? And then also too, I think it was like one of the longest or like first trails that had like a US post office in 1860. But I'm saying that to say that when we're thinking about the migration of people and the movement and the flow of people, the people who are living in these areas, one are 50% white. Also, too, they are descendants of people who we call American settlers. But obviously, if you know anything about the American frontier and the pioneers, all this shit, they were people who were very brutal. There are people who had to be brutal, right, in order to conquer someone else's land. Okay, in order to conquer someone else's land, and that's important to note. The culture of the location, right? It's important to note the culture of the location. So he obviously was sentenced to 35 years. And the parents are spoke out recently. I don't know if anybody had a chance to see his most recent. Thank you for the likes. I see you. Thank you for the likes. I see you. I appreciate the love. Um, they recently showed us a mugshot of him, and it's crazy. Like, it's really crazy. They shaved all his hair off. He's in this really kind of like old looking brown tunic thing. It's unfortunate. It's giving you a dog whistle. It's Jim Crow justice. I don't know if you ever heard of that terminology, but it's literally um well, you got away with this. We weren't able to winch you. And so here we are able to kind of throw the book at you, and we are able to kind of go into it. Now, everybody wants to hurl things in the comments. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't give a damn. All right. I don't really care because, even as a Black woman, as a mother in general, the idea that my child went to a track meet at 17 years old, whether the boy was indigenous, Native American, Hispanic, Asian, or otherwise, 17 years old, going to the track meet And now to learn that my child is no longer here, or my child has, or felt the need to use force or, defend himself in such a way where it's changing our entire lives is traumatizing as hell. All right. And it made me think about what it means to be in a world where you can't go into somebody's tent to escape the rain. Because that was the root of it, right? That was the root of it. That was the root of it. He went into the tent to escape the thunderstorms and the rain. That's basic human decency and human kindness. That's not and I didn't say that, dishevel. I didn't say that. That's what the kids had said. The same kids they put on the witness stand. Okay. So um no, so the root of it was he was told 15 times to leave. He doesn't listen. So, okay, imagine it's a thunderstorm and it's a tornado outside, and you're like, somebody's like, yeah, well, you got to get out. You got to get out. It's like, am I gonna get out? Like, do you have to? Like, was he doing anything illegal? So because he decided not to leave, and then this is what we're talking about. When we have two boys who are both 17, both, there for the track meet, but live completely different lives and completely separate. Um and feel different then and feel othered and feel like, yeah, you have to leave this tent. I don't give a damn if you are you know going to get wet or not. It's unbelievable and it's pathetic, and it really just is pointing to the lack of connection and the lack of human decency that we are willing to show each other. Period. That's all, and that's it. It's no other way to do that. It's like when you think about it. Okay, I'm only going to talk about this for a hot second because there's so many other things I want to get into. But the fact that the root of this is coming from the fact that the boy was trying to escape the rain. And they're so pissed off. Oh, you can't be over here. Oh, you can't be over here. Granted, these are rival teams, right? The high schools are rival teams, but they didn't know each other. They didn't know each other. And also, too, let's keep in mind these are boys, these are teenage boys. These are teenage boys who are athletes. And, it turns into you know, a contest. You get out. No, you get out. No, you get out. But also, we have to think about the culture of the environment because I don't know if you ever been around a group of white people, but when shit get weird, it start to get weird and you start to feel a little funny. You feel threatened. And it's so interesting because everybody's like, oh, I feel threatened with the black people. All of the white people will come together and be like, you know, rallying around, and it's like mob mentality. We've seen that historically. We've seen mob mentality from whites historically. It's not hard for me as a black woman to think that those people, those children, right, got hyped because he in the tent. He doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to go back out in the rain. And so when we're talking about um, teenage boys, their pride, bigotry, okay, mob mentality, racial tensions, rival high schools, right? Humans are humans. So if we're just talking about two teenage boys, and we're talking about two teenage boys, and so if somebody's moving in and you're way bigger than me, and I feel like you're going to harm me, does he not have a right to defend himself? Now, I am not saying by any means, that scenario should have resulted in anybody's lives being taken, physically or otherwise. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there is an issue when we're talking about two teenage kids who live in the same county, who go to the same damn near schools. I looked up Liberty High School, Centennial High School, the same fucking statistics. 2,000 students go to the school. Okay, the schools were relatively built in the year 2000 because of the growing suburban area there. 10% of the kids are getting free lunch. That means only about 200 of them are, or at least I can infer that only 200 of them are economically oppressed. And y'all go to the same damn schools in the same damn neighborhoods, and you're living relatively well. What's the difference? What's the difference? I want to know what y'all think the difference is. We go to the same school, we live in the same county, we here at the same damn track meet. Why can't I come in your tent real quick when it's raining? Y'all won't leave y'all dog outside in the rain. Okay? You want to leave your dog outside in the rain. That is the point. That absolutely is the point. And so before I move on into where I want to go with this is I want us to talk and be for real about how we see and we view Black people, how we see and we view white people, especially when we're living in the same neighborhoods. We live in the similar lives. He lived in an affluent neighborhood, so did this boy, I'm going to assume. What was wrong with him going into the tent, y'all? Y'all keep saying they told him to leave 15 times, 15 times, 15 times. Okay, he could have told him to leave 20 times. If he did not leave, does that mean that they were supposed to come around him and surround him? Because what does an animal do when they're cornered? What does anybody do when they're cornered? Like, that's not hard to understand. If you just take race out of it, just human people, if you take race out of it, if you are backed in a corner or you feel like your back is against the wall, you start fighting back, you start swinging back. Okay. And I also want to mention that the police reported that when he was getting into the police car is he okay? He wanted to know, was he okay? Because potentially it was overwhelmed. All right. So we're going to get into what the parents had to say. This will be a live reaction. I did not have a chance to see this. And so I really, it's so disgusting to me, guys. It's just really disgusting to me. That's all I can say. Make sure you guys are liking the video, subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Oh, peace and love, Scholar. Thank you for coming through and popping out.
So do you believe your son received a fair trial?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And we're going to keep fighting.
Mm-hmm.
We will not stop fighting for justice for my son.
Mm-hmm. And as parents, have you all struggled with guilt, asking yourselves, is there anything differently? I know, Kayla, you said you wish you had gone to that track meet. Is there anything that you both wish you could have done differently?
I wish I would have just been rebellious. I was told, don't talk to this person. Don't talk to this person. I feel like it was just a setup. Now, so they told us, go get white attorneys. Every Black person I went to, white attorney. No white attorney, they set them up, pushed them. Hey, here you go. I mean, no objections. It was things were smooth stuff because as a father of me being who I am, I got to make sure she's straight. This mama, I got to make sure she's straight mentally because if she's not straight, my house ain't straight. I'm not straight. Then so because I got the kids to worry about. Got to make sure his mental health. I can't go back and forth with him right in there because his mental can handle it. The misunderstanding of what daddy's trying to take. This ain't a daddy moment.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, guys. That's another thing too that I heard too is that the attorneys that his family um worked with did not push back on the judge at all, did not push back on the prosecution at all. And I'm not from the South, but I think it's widely known that when you're in deep trouble or whatever the case, when you are dealing with um deep South racist, potentially racist people, you want to get a white lawyer because it's like it's the language that they speak. It's the old boys club. It's the, oh, this is what you should do, right? But to your own detriment. It's like you even them being advised to go in there with a white lawyer. Why do you guys think that is? Why do you guys think that is? That's saying something about the system. That's saying something about the system. And everybody's like, "Oh, don't bring a knife to school. Don't bring a knife to school." What about all of the kids that's bringing GUNs and pumes to school? Hello? And I said I wasn't going to do that. I said I wasn't going to do that. But please, y'all, I'm catching some of the comments, and it's like y'all trying to be shady. Okay? But ultimately, he had a pocket knife. Most people have a pocket knife. Hell, I just went fishing the other day, and I was thinking to myself, damn, I wish I had a little pocket knife or something when the the hook got caught on some driftwood. I'm like, damn, I wish I had a pocket knife. Hello? What's wrong with that? And it's not about whether or not the boy was for right or wrong, because two families are without children, 17-year-old kids. 17-year-old kids, y'all. 17-year-old kids. And a lot of y'all in the chat are grown as hell. Y'all are too grown. It's pissing me off. It's pissing me off. It's pissing me off. I ain't even about to do it because it's y'all are too grown. We're talking about two 17-year-old kids. One in Austin is a twin. I can't even imagine. He's a twin, right? What was he being taught? What was the environment that he was in? Why does he feel this way? Why can't the boy come in a tent and get out the rain? Why is Carmelo not going up on the stand, but all of his peers are? That does seem like a setup. Ill advice from a lawyer, a white lawyer, because you trying to play nice in this white town that was never going to do it for you. Okay, yeah, rival team, so what? Rival team, team that won last year. It doesn't matter. Okay, somebody said, why doesn't he go on his own team tent? What if that was the closest tent? And then now, because you know how kids are, right? The moment you tell your kid go left, they go right. Now imagine another kid trying to tell you that. Yeah, well, you need to do it like this. Now I'm doing it like this. And now y'all get into a tussle and a scuffle or whatever the case. And now you got 3, 4, 5 of your homeboys who are much bigger than than Carmelo. Come on now, y'all. Y'all not being for real. El Prez, I think I seen something. Oh, wait. I'm glad the Knicks won for Carmelo. You know what I mean? So I really just feel like when we're having these conversations about race and we're having these conversations about how kids are responding and acting, us as the adults need to start getting for real. And if we're talking about, oh yeah, this is the American and this, that, and the third, like y'all can't really believe that. And if y'all do, y'all are the ones that will perpetuate this type of thing. You know, it's white racist people perpetuating this type of behavior, because I don't understand how a 17-year-old kid can tell another kid, "Oh, you got to get out the tent," and then everybody joins in, and then now a fight breaks out, or he gets pushed, and now somebody's unalived, and this boy gets 35 years. But obviously, he didn't show up at the track meet, a 4.0 grade point average, a stellar athlete and a stellar student shows up to unalive a kid he doesn't even know. How does that make sense? Can y'all make that make sense? What do they call it in Texas? Like, I know it as like the heat of the moment, the passion, the crime of passion or whatever. What is it called? Somebody said posting flicks with guns. So what's wrong with that? People people in the South shoot guns all the time. Kids, little kids, younger than him. That's the first thing that people holler. It's my right as an American. My right. I have gun rights. Gun rights. I'm an American. So what? He had a gun. What if he, you know? And that's another thing too. I think it's so unfortunate because there are people who don't even want their kids to play with toy guns. What if they want their children to know how to protect themselves, to protect their homes, to hunt even? You don't even want to teach your children certain things because it's the first thing that you're hollering. He didn't have a gun at the track meet. What difference does it make? And funny that you say that because, you know, and I'm not gonna do this because it's just in bad taste. But I'm looking at the picture of the GoFundMe for Austin Metcalf, and it's his father. They're hunting. He has a huge rifle, huge gun. Okay. And they're little. So don't talk about anything involving that when you know that that's the first thing people want to have and protect is gun laws and gun rights. Oh my gosh, it is not a good season for the beach. I don't know what's up. I don't know what is going on with the beaches, but like I want to say four swimmers passed away last week at the Jersey Shore, right? Then on top of that, now they're saying that multiple Jersey Shore beaches are closed for high bacteria. Like, what is going on? And I was saying that to myself when that other boy they couldn't find their other swimmer. I said, I'm not going to the beach this summer. It's just not. It's not the time. It's not the time. Now it's this. Like, what in the what's happening? What is happening? Someone said it was a cleat sharpener. From what I saw from the documents that I saw that was presented in court, it was a pocket knife. I heard it was possibly a cleat sharpener as well. Um, somebody said, "What if it was my kid?" I would want my kid to not be so um rooted in hatred that I feel that they feel like that someone else can come into a tent to escape being washed away in the rain in thunderstorms. And to answer your question truthfully and honestly, I would be devastated, and I'm sure both of their parents are devastated. Austin Metcalf's family's houses have been swatted. You know, obviously the parents here are distraught. Their child, their now 19-year-old child. Look at what they did to this kid. Look at this kid, y'all. Like, look at this child. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Honestly and truthfully. And this is the American justice system that people are, oh wow, this is what we need. This is what we want. No, that's not. That's a dog whistle for people to be up in arms and feeling like, "Oh, well, we have justice," when honestly, you really don't because Austin's not here. How is that justice? It's fear, it's hatred, It's bigotry that breeds more violence and hate for one another. So it's cute and it's funny until it's one of your kids. You know what I mean? And it honestly and truly is sickening. The people, y'all are sickening. Y'all are sickening. That's all I can say. Somebody said that this kid was an instigator. Kids don't instigate. Have you ever been played any organized sports? Low impulse control on both ends, no. But also too, kids have a hard time controlling their impulses. They're 17. They're 17, right? We got to think about he wasn't 17 and in the streets, he was 17 and a stellar student. That's the difference. So to have that mindset is literally no different than when people are like, "Oh, well, yeah, it's raining, but so what? You can't come into my tent." Like, be for real, guys. And I wanted to say this to be completely honest. I just don't I think that people are really grossly underestimating how powerful hate can be, especially when there are now two children, two 17-year-old young adults. Somebody said don't call them children. Two 17-year-old young adults who one doesn't have a life and one may not even be able to function as a human person anyway. Jail is traumatizing. Prison is traumatizing. And then on top of that, Texas privatized. I mean, prison's already privatized. Okay. But it's unbelievable that people are so hell bent on perpetuating this level of hate as opposed to really discussing the issues and the problems within these systems or within certain states. But honestly, this problem is everywhere. This is an everywhere thing. It just happens that you know, we're in Texas, in a county where 50% of the population is white, and how dare this black person, this black young kid defend himself? Because that's what he said it was. It was self-defense. And why didn't that lawyer have him up on the stand? If they can put all of those kids up there, 20 children up on the stand after witnessing something so traumatizing, why would that lawyer um, not prep him to be on the stand? That does sound like a setup. That sounds ill prepared, bad advice. And one thing I know about the Court of Appeals is going to be different. You're not going to be tried by a jury. That's done and over with. But it's going to try to help maybe reduce the sentence, or maybe even I really feel like him not having any black people up there. Sure, there are people of color. And I can almost guarantee you, this is no different than, 20 years from now, there's going to be a Netflix documentary. Hell, probably sooner, 10 years, 5 years, a Netflix documentary. And those kids are going to come out and say, yeah, well, because children are impressionable. You got to take one for the team. You have to, you can't go against the crowd. It's my mind control, mob mentality. Even as high schoolers are cliquish as fuck. Oh, so you gonna tell them the truth? No, I'm not defending. I'm talking about the behavior of these children. The behavior of these children. I'm really honestly looking at some of these comments is really scary, guys. It's really scary. You all are really like a perverse group, honestly. It's given it's given like what's something's not right in the head. If you feel happy that this happened, right? At the minimum, I really don't even know what to say. I don't really have nothing to say. It's really just gross. Like we know. Y'all are happy that this happened, but ultimately a life was lost. Two, families are gonna miss these very young kids. They're never going to see possible grandchildren and birthdays and everything like this. Like y'all are okay with that? Y'all are sick. Oh my goodness, y'all are sick. I'm gonna drop the link for a hot second to see if anybody wanna come up and get into a couple of things. Um, but with so many people in here saying so many negative things, I mean, honestly, I don't even think it's appropriate. I'm gonna drop the link, guys, and, you know, when y'all come up here, I wanna know what you think about this. How can we change what's happening? All right? What do y'all think about the appeal? What do y'all think about the sentence? What do y'all think about the whole thing being about getting out of the rain? All right? Getting out of the rain is the starting point to this. And everybody's just like, "Oh, yeah, well, so what?" Because you guys are just so eager. You guys are so eager to just you hate, and it's really just a shame. And I can see how kids, if they're offsprings of this type of shit, can really go around and just be nasty, rude, and hateful. No, I'm not. I'm not justifying murder at all. I'm talking about how do we get to the point from it's raining outside, we're at a track meet, you gotta get out the tent, and now there is a murder. That's where I'm trying to go. That is where I'm trying to go. Both teams had tent, right? I understand that. But like the other coach said, it's not that uncommon, especially when there's inclement weather. It's not that uncommon. In the video, it's really grainy, and all you see is Austin Metcalf pushing, pushing Carmelo, and then you see Carmelo leaving. And the video, like again, the video doesn't prove anything outside of Austin initiating physical contact with him. Pat, you should really try to listen and look at some of the comments and see what some of the adults are saying in here. And these are the same adults that are going to go home and talk to their kids and say, "Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. You need to this and the third." Like, no, you can't. You can't be okay with either one of these. Thank you, Doc. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for saying that. Thank you, Tamika. Thank you, Tamika. The only time he assaulted him with a shove. Yeah, that part right there. And if he could do that in front of a group full of people and you're shoving somebody, you're already trying to intimidate. You're trying to evoke fear, right? And if you have somebody that's there that's trying to evoke fear, you immediately snap into fight or flight. That's how I feel too, honestly. Like, you know, this was senseless. This was senseless. This was senseless behavior from 2 teenage boys who were athletes at the track meet, possibly showing off, and it went real bad. It went super bad and it went super left. And now we're here in this, "Oh, it's this racial divide." No, we need to stop teaching our kids to be hateful. We first have to stop being hateful. Austin Metcalf was the white dude's name. Who's the guy? Carmelo said. It was him. It was him. Austin Metcalf was the twin. He is the victim. He's the one who was unalived. Okay. Who's the guy Carmelo said? Carmelo was the one who stabbed Austin Metcalf. Okay. I do not think that he should go free. No. Something obviously happened. I'm not saying that he should go free. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is it was a miscarriage of justice from the American justice system. That's not hard to understand. He didn't go there intentionally trying to unalive somebody. Okay? That's it. That's my whole point. Austin should have got the coach. I agree. Somebody should have got the coach. Where was the coach? Where was the coach? Okay? Where were the adults? Because it's giving negligence. It's giving negligence. Thank you. I see the other super chat. Thank you. I appreciate you, Azura. Peace and love to you, brother. Thank you. Austin should have kept his hands to himself. Now he's in the upper room. Oh, shit. That was a choice he made. I think Anthony will be released on appeal. I think the reason why I'm hopeful that Anthony will be released on appeal is the fact that they already when the stabbing first happened, the boy was first unalived. Yeah, he was there in $1 million bond, and in Texas, he ended up getting his bond reduced to 250,000. That makes me hopeful. That makes me hopeful that maybe at the appeal courts they will see that maybe 35 years was too much. But right now, even still, him having to go through this process, even him having to do all this is. I don't even want to put the picture up, but yeah, it's a lot. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you so much. And popping out for the live.
Yo, so many things done. First thing. It's not about Carmelo Anthony. It the same way it wasn't about Rosewood people. Same way it wasn't about anything. These white people are in your comments angry because they they know what they want. They know what they want. We know what they want. You know what I mean? They want to take away the self-esteem of another race. This stuff was never about business or anything. That's why the treatment of them was kind of grotesque compared to slavery around the world. You know what I mean? Indentured servitude and stuff like that. It's always been about their supremacy. That's why they here. That's why they here talking about murder this, murder that. They don't care about him. Kyle Rittenhouse, the guy who crossed state lines with a weapon. You remember him? Looking for trouble. They donated and made him a millionaire. And after his case was over, and he could be a symbol for white supremacy, guess what they did? Parted ways and went on about their business. It's never about this. It's about putting us in our place. That's what it's about. It's about making us feel the emotion that you have right now. It's about that. It's about making us feel bad. It's about letting us know our place. It's about letting us know everything. They keep bringing up criminality. Who is responsible for the PDF charges? You know, you look at that Epstein list. That's a white only club. You know what I mean? They go find pictures of Trayvon Martin holding a gun as if everybody in America ain't got guns. Why is a black person with a gun viewed that negatively when all the school shootings be white people? Like this is absolute madness. Matter of fact, I'm not sure if you're familiar. It's a dude named I think it's Casey Allison, dude from Texas, went to the bathroom with the knife, stabbed. Similar situation, right? Didn't make headlines. That dude got a state jail felony that's 2 to 10 years in jail. So he'll probably be out in 2. We're watching racism in real time display itself. And the saddest part about it is, as much as they like to say that we come so far, we'll never go far because there's always, like I said last time, change the rules. When we get educated, 2.62 million Americans out of 14% educated, they always just change the rules, and still unemployment is rising amongst black people. They always change the rules. They talk about the media and how liberal the media is. The media is always portraying black people, depicting them in the most negative light that they can. Like this is not about Carmelo Anthony whatsoever. The one thing I know about white people is they hate that mirror. They hate that mirror, right? They always use deflecting tactics and all this other stuff, right? Like if you look up what a narcissist and how they behave in a relationship, that's pretty much how white people behave when it comes to race matters. Everything has to be about them. They're the only ones allowed to be a victim. In this case right now, they are cheering for a man to go to jail. Cheering for a man, and that's a 17-year-old boy, cheering for him to go to jail. Oh yeah, justice was served. Oh, this and that. It ain't got nothing to do with this case. Nothing. Everything to do with white supremacy. They're happy. This is a victory for them. We just seen an Asian man hunt a black boy down, because that's what he did, right? He left the store, he hunted him down and shot him in the back and got off. None of these people that's talking about somebody lost their life, they didn't feel for that person. Why not? Why not? The reason Black Lives Matter, I hated that they made it a hashtag and made money off of it. But the words itself is really more powerful than, like, because our lives don't mean anything to them. They still view us as property. Deep down inside, they don't think we deserve respect. They don't think that we deserve justice. They don't think any of that stuff. This is why we get railroaded in the justice system. We're seeing it on display. We're seeing it and for black people, this is so depressing because we can't do anything right? So, like in this case, raise your kids. This is how you raise your kids. He came from a 2-parent home. You know who had the broken home? The twins, the bullies, right? The bullies that went to the altercation looking for trouble, right? And this is so crazy to me.
I mean, do we know they were looking for trouble?
Oh, absolutely. They had a reputation for bullying. This is the chatter around, even from the friends. They had a reputation, and he was way bigger than Carmelo Anthony. They definitely listen, if you're somebody's same age or somebody's peer and you're trying to demand them to do something with no authority, you're looking for trouble, especially coming from a country who didn't even want to put on the mask to save somebody else's life. I'm gonna let that marinate for a little bit. We live in a country that said the government cannot tell us what to do. We are not going to put on our mask to save somebody else's life. It's saying what a 17-year-old boy should do to another 17-year-old boy. Like, why should he listen to him? What is the glaring factor in there? It's black and white. He should listen to the white boy. The white boy's the authority. And had he listened to him, this would have never happened. What?
Yeah.
What?
And
that's
essentially what the people are saying. Well, he should have left. He should have left. I mean, who's to say he should have left or not? It doesn't mean that he was, should have been approached or even shoved, for that matter. Everybody's missing that point of entry where if they told him to leave and he didn't leave, that doesn't mean that they had a right to put their hands on him. And you said something really important too. when you said that, they try to treat you like they're still your property. I want to go ahead and say worse than that, because some people take care of their property, right? They want to treat you less than human and make you feel less than. And when you add in and you factor in that underlying tension at 17 years old, and I'm here to track me, you had to track me. He comes from an affluent background, and I'm right here. We toe to toe. You know, we're toe to toe now. And so it's not surprising when you say like the one boy said something and the other boy said something. It's just one of those moments when, you know, tensions get too high, and they are two 17-year-old kids. Do you remember you at 17? And then you add in, you know, a race past, the history, the culture of the community. Okay. And it's like, yeah, well, you were supposed to leave. And when you don't do that, um, something catastrophic happens. And that does try to give you the picture of, so what do? Are you're not supposed to stand your ground? Y'all love to stand your ground. You're not supposed to stand your ground. You're supposed to just go ahead
Oh
and
yeah,
cower
we
like
learned it
that.
with George
Not
Zimmerman. They love it,
realistic.
right? They made Zimmerman a millionaire for stand your ground. Remember that? Even though he went looking for trouble with Trayvon Martin. It's so funny that the only person that needs to listen in these situations is black people, right? So when 911 tells George Zimmerman, hey, don't engage, he don't have to listen, even though he's nothing, right? Trayvon Martin is still somehow the villain. Like we can't escape it. We cannot escape it. Like they can't use this example. And this is the games that they play, Jay. So in this, the thing they always use is, oh, broken family, take care of your kids, black people, bootstrap, 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 right? But in this case, you have a family that's wealthy, did the right things, right? Middle class. So how do they attack them? Oh, they're super rich. They're just taking y'all's money. They ain't spending on the lawyer. Like this is absolute madness to me. Like you're clocking. So we live in a country where a white woman called a boy, a 5-year-old boy, the N-word, and became a millionaire. Nobody clocked the money, what she did with it. She made up that, oh, I'm being harassed. Nobody asked for evidence. They just automatically took her at face value, gave her $1 million, and let her do with what she pleased. But in this case, with the middle class black family, because they can't attack them nowhere else. This is the American dream. These are the good blacks, right? The bootstrap blacks, right? And you don't have any angle to attack them. How do you attack them? Oh, well, they're super wealthy. Y'all just throwing y'all money away. It's like that's absolute madness to me. That's absolute madness. The guy that comes from the broken home gets the sympathy. Like we never get the sympathy. We always get the bootstraps. Why wasn't he given the bootstraps? Why they wasn't saying F around and find out? Like they were saying when Donald Trump was running. They was wearing t-shirts say F around and find out when Donald Trump was president for other countries. But all of a sudden now they understand, the couth, you got to follow the rules. You got to listen. It's like, but the games that white people play is absolute madness. Like even Give Sing Go, getting rid of Carmelo Anthony's family, Give Sing Go, like, oh, well, the cause is over. What? You know that's targeting. Like it didn't, and like I said, there's a clip that I have, and it's like some black people that moved to New York, and New York always try to like, well, we were liberal back then. The North, we fought for the skinniest kid at fat camp, right? A black family moved into their neighborhood. They threw a pipe bomb through the window. They threatened them with violence. The people who were responsible for doing that were judged by their peers, right? A jury of their peers, and found innocent on all accounts. And this is in '67. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Carmelo Anthony was judged by the descendants, right? As the Amazing Lucas call it, the lineage of evil, right? Judged by those people, and hey, that was fast. I don't know about you, but some of these high profile cases, they normally take a long. That was lickety split. That is insane to me. Like I said, I don't know if y'all familiar, but with the Allison case, the Casey Allison, but he did this exact same thing, and I didn't see no outrage from the other side because what? It goes with the narrative. What is the overall theme? If we don't get caught up on the forest, right? If we don't miss the forest through the trees, if we don't get caught up on the trees, if we focus on the same thing, it's always race-based. It's always white justification, no matter what the situation is. Trayvon Martin, he's walking suspiciously. If he takes off running, he's going to say, what are you doing running at nighttime? There's nothing you can do in the situation. That's the most depressing part. There's nothing you can do. White has to always win.
And then when there is a physical situation where they don't win, they circle back around and use the American justice system to implement Jim Crow justice. And that's essentially what we call throwing the book at him. He's still a 17-year-old kid at the time of the crime, so they can charge him as an adult and everything like this, but they can't give him the death penalty. But the fact and the idea that in 3 hours, they came back and said, yep, he's guilty, and he's immediately sentenced to 35 years. Right. And if we're talking about, they came up with evidence from, and that's another thing too, the evidence, it was not even recorded. I think that was done intentionally because when those old dirt road towns and everything, these smaller towns in Texas and all this shit, they want to keep shit hush hush because they don't want the news cameras in there kind of showing the world their crimes. This is why it was so important during the civil rights era, seeing those children being hosed down, seeing those things that literally changed the course of the civil rights movement because we could visually see, right? Everybody's all like, ah, ha, ha, ha. These are 17-year-old kids. So if we see some of those kids on the stand, 16, 17, 18, recently traumatized, and they're going off of that beyond a reasonable doubt in 3 hours, y'all, you know what I mean? That, again, that is one of those situations where you know that it's not honest, it's not for real, but everybody will sit back and be like, well, yeah, no, well, like, no, that's not right. That's not right. And at a certain point, we need to start having real conversations because, if y'all claim y'all love this country so much, oh yeah, and we in the country, like the country is terrible and going to hell. It's going to hell in a handbasket. When a grown ass adult, I'm sure half y'all is probably over 50, hell, 60. And y'all in here talking about 2 teenage kids, one white, one black, 17 nonetheless, running track. And y'all are just so like, oh yeah, okay, well, it doesn't, like, we need to stop sugarcoating what it is and start being honest with yourself and honest with the people around you. Like, and stop being so complicit when you hear the little fuck shit, when you hear those things. Like, it's nothing funny about it. It's nothing progressive about it. Okay. It's nothing about this is a win for anybody. Not even the right wing people. The right wing American, what was their name? American Protect White Americans group. They were condemning and pissed off at the father for not allowing them to use their son. This is what we're talking about. This is bigger than just any political movement. This is just hatred.
And
Y'all
let
are
me tell you,
hijacking hatred.
and let me tell you the beautiful part about life, right? The beautiful part about life is these people will cut off their noses, spite their face, right? So they vote and go against their interests. The economy is bad, horrible. They can't even afford to live. They don't have health care. Half a good tooth in the mouth. They eat a good apple and it's over for their teeth, right? They're gonna be all gums, right? And they still go out there and vote against their interests because they want to maintain white supremacy, and they think white supremacy is some type of superhero that's going to bail them out, right? But it's actually doing the reverse. It's actually hurting them. They're hurting themselves. But just like a virus, right? A virus gets in your body, it replicates, keeps replicating, and it doesn't understand that, you could keep replicating, creating more copies of yourself, but you need a host to live. If the host dies, you die. Virus doesn't understand that. That's what I'm seeing out of these idiots that are in the comment section. Like, how did you even find this? So let's go with this for a second, right? How did the algorithm predict that you would like this live? I'm willing to bet you wake up every day and you have notifications on your Facebook because you stalk black people all day and raise conversations to show up to be the moral arbiter of what black people need to do. How did I guess that that's you? Because you're not unique. You're not unique. And one thing I wanted to touch on, Jay, when you was talking about the civil rights era, right? The civil rights era worked, and it worked exactly how you said it worked, but it was for a different reason, I think. I think that they don't mind being racist. They just like it to be covert, right? So they didn't mind the dogs being suck on them. They didn't mind
They don't like to see what their results are. Like, they don't want it plastered all over the world for the world to see. It has to be quiet. It has to be in a hidden courtroom with no cameras to see, so y'all can see all of the injustice that we like to carry out. But go ahead.
Yeah, they never mind. You know what it reminds me of? And I hate to bring this up, but I got to, because they bringing up crime in the chat. So I'm gonna say the show How to Catch a Predator. Mostly white people on there. Because they commit those crimes. But that show, they're never ashamed of what they're actually doing. They're ashamed that the camera's there. Right? And you would think like, hey, you're an adult, you want to harm a child, that like something's wrong with you, you're sick. But they don't care. They care that you able to see that they're sick. And that's racism. That's white people. They want it to be covert so they can hide behind a Metcalf verdict, right? Oh, well, this is responsibility. We're the land of the laws. We just watched a politician with orange hair that we shall not name, not Donald Trump, but try to pass a bill to give tax dollars to the people that stormed the Capitol and beat up the blue lives that they told us all during Black Lives Matter, right? And they were down with that. Nobody cared. It wasn't this outrage. They have more outrage for a case for some people that they don't even know, right? Than they have for their tax dollars going somewhere. And it goes back to white supremacy. That's what they care about. Their goal when they wake up, before they feet hit the ground, is, how do I maintain white supremacy? How do I do that? How do I covertly do that? How do I get by with dog whistles or microaggressions? Or like, they're so obsessed with race. So like the one group that's most obsessed with race tell everybody it ain't about race. That's another thing you can't make up. It's people are sick. Victim card. That's another one right there. Victim card. So let me ask you this. The tax dollars that were going to go to the January 6 people that stormed the Capitol and beat up the blue lives that they said matters, do you think that they're victims? See, people that say victim card are normally white people, right? Because you talk about victim card, throughout history has been nothing but white people whining about their status. Rosewood had nothing to do with a white woman being touched, but they use that. They always have some type of like false flag that they use to let out their white supremacy. What did Dave Chappelle say next game? You got hate in your heart, let it out. That's the white people. You got hate in your heart, let it out. They just be looking for one moment, a basketball game, a football game, something for them to just let it out. But in the word of JD Vance, you don't have to be afraid to be white anymore. You got hate in your heart, let it out. That's white people. I'm gonna get a t-shirt to say, you got hate in your heart, let it out. That's white people. That's what y'all are doing. Y'all are celebrating the verdict of this 17-year-old black boy going to jail, and it has nothing to do with anything other than white supremacy. And y'all are a hateful group. Y'all the lineage of evil. Y'all 8 people. Y'all commit most of the shootings at, you know what? Y'all are most of the PDFs, and y'all talking about law and order. Y'all think law and order goes for everybody else. That's what white supremacy is. You think laws are for everybody else, to keep everybody else away from you, to keep everybody else from wealth, to extract resources from everywhere. Even with the justification of what Donald Trump is doing in Venezuela is white supremacy. Y'all think that God died. Like when Jesus Christ was on the cross, instead of saying it is done, he said, white people are in charge, and then just passed away. Like y'all are really sick. Y'all are really sick. And every day it never ceased to amaze me. When y'all in the comments saying what y'all saying right now, victim card and all the same stuff that y'all are proving the black friends who I be trying to reach, like that I'm right. Because I already know who y'all are. Listen, I read history books. I know what y'all about. I know y'all are. It's not us. It's the rich people. It's the rich people. Let's go against the rich people. And then you look at the rich people and the majority of them are white. Get out of here. White supremacy is a systematic thing that y'all know that is exclusive to y'all, and y'all know that y'all one big break away, y'all one big business away, one Shark Tank deal away. In y'all mindset, this is what y'all think. A lot of y'all are far away anyway. Like I said, the people from Texas with the half a good tooth in their mouth, they are so far away that their children's children probably won't even make it. Their children's children are probably going to be related. You know what I mean? Because we know as far as that ancestor stuff too, y'all believe in that too as well. It's culture for y'all, but y'all are sick, man. Y'all are sick, bro. Stalking, like think about that. The amount of obsession that y'all would have to even go find their GoFundMe. Okay, let's make this even, because y'all, like I said, y'all in y'all's mind, y'all are the only people that exist. God died and left y'all in charge. Y'all are the only people that are allowed to be victims, right? Because right now you have white people suing using the EEOC, like I said, right, using the EEOC to sue businesses, saying that DEI was discriminatory to them. You can't make that up, right? You cannot make that up. Like when they did surveys, Harvard, and this is Harvard, right? Y'all prestige school. Harvard did a study and they asked white people, do they think racism still exists? And they said no, right? And they asked them, do they think that they experience racism more than any other race? And they said yes. And there you go. White supremacy. We're the real victims, right? The Southern strategy was literally that. Let's talk to these white people and convince them that they're the victims. LBJ's quote, if you can convince the poorest white person that he's better than a black man, you can pick his pockets clean, right? This is what we're witnessing right now. We have people voting against their interests, going for Donald Trump, can't even afford the gas because of the war that he started. But white supremacy, through like the white man's telling y'all that he's gonna rob y'all through white supremacy, and y'all go out there and live it. Y'all are the embodiment of it. I have nothing to say to white people. Like, listen, and I'm gonna use the Muhammad Ali quote, right? Because I hate that we have to do this. This is black people having a good heart. Give me a sec.
While he's doing that, I think I wanted to just add on to the fact that I recognize that certain people will just be okay with it because they feel and they have a perception of being on top and being superior. Okay. You want to be on top, like, nobody feels like they're gonna be able to take that moment or take that away from anybody else. They don't want to give up their position. But ultimately, what happens is it starts to trickle down into these schools. And it's just like history repeating itself. We're just seeing the uptick of like senseless crimes, especially as it relates to white and black kids in the school for no reason, y'all. I want to just always go back to the point of the only reason why he entered inside of the tent was because it was raining and he was trying to escape a thunderstorm. Okay? Imagine that. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. People don't even keep their dogs outside when it's raining. And I honestly do. I am just, because believe it or not, black people, we are part of this country, babe. This is our country too, right? And for people to say like, oh yeah, oh, this, that, and the third is unpatriotic. It's so unpatriotic for um white supremacists to act in the way that they do, because like if you really believe in the country in the way that you say you should, like at some point we need to start moving past just the old ways and the hatred and this, that, and the other. But I mean, in places like, you know, I don't say places just like in the deep south, because there are places in the Midwest that are super racist, right? And we see open discrimination. But ultimately, I feel that these were kids. And so even with the dad coming out saying, I don't want my son's name on the memorial, I don't want my son, associated with this at all. Um, the man did say, y'all, well, because you wanted to recoil, you wanted to recant. I mean, so maybe they did have a conversation. I want to just also mention that there is an uptick on online supremacy, like white supremacy online, and far right groups are infiltrating chat spaces just like this one. Okay. Streaming spaces, this and the third. Aiden Ross was the first person to donate and da 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 da, and everything like this. And it's a breeding ground. It's literally a breeding ground to perpetuate more hate, but just in a different way. Okay. Just in a different way. And I just want us to start being for real about what it is and what some of the implications could be, because now one kid is not even here and another kid was sentenced to 35 years in prison. And all of this is just a result of systemic oppression. Literally, that's all it is. It's a result of systemic oppression and racism. That's what it is, guys. It's no other way to flip it or dip it. And so, yeah, while you might feel like, oh, yeah, I'm on top and this, that, and the other, there are major implications that are impacting just the brand. Okay, fucking the brand up. Why are people just okay with this? It never gave like, oh yeah, this is what we, this is. I'm glad this happened. You are. That's sick. That's a part of the perversion and the disgusting things that we've seen in the history. We've seen in the past, and I just feel like we're moving away from that. We should be trying
You
to and aspiring to move away from that.
you familiar with the Allison case, right?
What is it? No, I'm not.
You want? I could send you the link and we can play it and see what these professional lawyers in the chat got to say about it.
These aren't professional lawyers. These are fucking
Oh
crackerjack
no no no
lawyers.
no no! They're lawyers. They're lawyers for the court of white supremacy.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to say, yeah,
Oh yeah, they
literally.
lawyers. They lawyers. They gonna perpetuate. And then anytime you you point out hardship, they're gonna say victimhood. And then anytime you give them a little bit of ounce, let's say like when you experience a 70 level of difficulty, when you turn theirs up to 2%, oh no. Somebody in the chat put white fragility. I mean black fragility. They steal everything. Like we know, well, they don't read, so they wouldn't know that that was a book called White Fragility. And it was written by a white woman too, by the way, to talk about how sensitive white people is. Right? They stole that. They stole woke, black fatigue, all these books that are written to to have an understanding of black people and their plight. White people then go hijack the name. Don't even read the book. Hijack the name and flip it and try to turn it on black. You can't make this up. Cannot make this up. They are professionals at this, at the propaganda. They've convinced the world that we're the bad people while robbing and pillaging and stealing everything from culture to like everything, still everything. Don't have nothing original, right? And convince the world that black people are the bad people. Like, and this is why was going to say earlier. Black people have such a good heart that even when they talk or speak, they always be like, maybe there's one. Remember Moses? Never was Moses. What's the guy that turned into the pillar of salt in the Bible?
You know, I am no Bible
Okay,
scholar.
well that
Okay,
guy, well that guy.
lie.
When God told him he was going to destroy the city, and he was like, "What if there's one good word?" But that's how black people are. But you know what? Let's do a more modern analogy. Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance? Because they show us. They show us. Look, I seen a white lady give a speech, and I wish I could find this. I did not save it, right? But she was talking about how racism is like so systemic
Carmelo had
that
a white lawyer because the parents were afraid to go into a Texas courthouse with a black lawyer.
and it didn't
They were
help
trying
any.
to tie into a white supremacist system, and the lawyer ended up playing for the other team anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't have helped any. It wouldn't have helped any. And let me use this as a teachable moment because I want the black people in here, who say, I have some white good friends. I want you to look around, look to your left, look to your right, and then look up and down in his comments and scroll and look at all these good white people when they think that they're in incognito mode. Or, like they feel this way, but they just would never tell you because, like I said, they don't like that mirror being held up to them. They're like a place where if you got hate in your heart, let it out. That's they like them type of environments where they can just go free and do whatever they want, say whatever they want. And these white people is crazy. I could not believe this. I could not believe the celebration. The
Yeah,
celebration,
me
like I
either.
said,
I'm
it's
think I'm gonna get out of here. It's just so disgusting to me. Um, I really, again, I just want to reiterate, grown ass people who are in here celebrating two kids, two 17-year-old kids, bro. One who is no longer with us and one who was just sentenced to prison, 35
well,
years.
well,
And
Jay.
y'all are grown as people. That's unbelievable. And honestly, it's just really sickening. And
Well,
you want to talk like, oh yeah, it's black people that's doing all of this and da, 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 da. Like this right here is just really gross. Even with me understanding and knowing that there's like racial tensions and everything, notice how I'm still being mindful and respectful of the fact that that 17-year-old kid did lose his life. You know what I mean? Like y'all just really have no no type of soul, couth, class, or anything, but always claim to be superior. How? In what way? Because surely it is in character, and it isn't in just human empathy. Okay. So I really don't have much to say. If you want to wrap it up, Scholar, you can. All right, I don't think he has anything else to get into. This right here in the comment section is just gross. Y'all really need to stop and reflect. You probably won't, and that's okay. But to the people who came and you heard something different, you heard a different perspective, and you understand and know that, hate is going to perpetuate more hate, then that's just what you're going to get. You're going to have two 17-year-old students who are athletes fighting in a tent because somebody came in to take shelter from a thunderstorm. And then the fallout of that is somebody's unalived. I'm saying that not to minimize, but to, say certain things on this platform. Somebody's in prison for 35 years. Both families are devastated. Both families are devastated. And y'all 50-year-old, what do you say, one good tooth having are in the chat laughing and celebrating.
Yo, Jay, can you
That's white supremacy for you right there. There you go.
can you check the back chat?
Yeah.
I'm about to send you something. It's like 3 minutes. It ain't too crazy. It's a news clip. What should have happened to him? And this here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've seen people in Texas, right, drink, drive, and take someone else's family member, and nothing happened to them. Maybe get 2 years, you know what I mean? State jail felony, 2 to 10 years, stuff like that, and they took a life, right? And it's just like when did life become so precious? Like during COVID, y'all didn't even want to put on y'all's masks. When did life? So which life is precious is the question that I have to y'all, because I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it. White lives are too precious to lose, especially the black people. We get it. We get it. We get it. We got it. Message received. You know what I mean? Message received. We got it. White lives are better. White people are better. Black people should know their place. And this is y'all coming out to humble us. Hey, look, no matter how far y'all come, no matter what happened with Martin Luther King, know your place. We get it. This is why this is exciting to y'all. Y'all are more excited for this verdict than the Knicks, beating the Spurs. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane. It's insane.
I'm gonna play this here so we can get into it.
At 10 tonight, the legal team for Kason Allison, the former Belton High School student convicted in the death of a fellow classmate, has filed an appeal. Allison was sentenced to 10 years in prison after being convicted of criminally negligent homicide. According to court documents obtained by 6 News, Allison's appeal lawyer is arguing 3 points. Let's break it down. First, according to the appeal attorney, the judge told the jury self-defense does not consider a part of criminally negligent homicide charge. Second, the attorney also says the state failed to disprove self-defense. And third, nearly 2 weeks after the jury was dismissed, the state filed a deadly weapon notice. The appeals lawyer argues the judge had no legal or constitutional authority to make that finding himself, increasing the maximum sentence from 2 years to 10. The Allison's legal team is asking for an acquittal, a new trial, or a new sentencing hearing. Kason Allison is serving time at a prison in Brazoria County, just south of Houston.
And in that situation, he went looking for trouble. He went into the bathroom with the knife. He made threats and everything. That guy went in there looking for trouble. Where's the outrage? Where's the consistency? We know what would have made that consistent. If that boy had been black and did that, and the person he unalive was white, well, then we would get the same, we get the same victory lap that white people are taking right now. And to the people that are saying what should have been done, you think a 35-year sentence in a first-degree felony is appropriate? Like, see, they don't know anything about that. Like, they charged him with murder. So that person that stabbed somebody was charged with criminal negligence, right? Which means that he ought to have known better, right? Like, meaning, like, if me and you are like riding a roller coaster and I lift up your thing while we're going over a loop, like to prank you, and you end up falling out and passing away. Like, I didn't intentionally like do that. Like, I should have known better, Like that's negligence, right? Criminal negligence. But that's what they charged him with. Even though he went there with a knife, intended to use the knife and murdered somebody, right? You listen to them talk about Carmelo Anthony. If you close your eyes, you would think they were talking about the Equalizer. Oh, he stabbed him in the heart. Bro, are you serious? Do you know how cold and accurate you would have to be? A Navy SEAL person would probably struggle with finding the heart on one swipe, fighting two people in a fist fight. But they all of a sudden, Carmelo Anthony, he's no longer 17. Like you know what it reminds me of? And oh my God, remember when Dave Chappelle did the skit about how old is 17 really?
No, I don't remember that.
Oh my God, it was such an amazing skit because he talked about like R. Kelly, right? You know, and I'm like, Dave, where you going with this? But this is a while back. But he was like, hey, look, how old is 17 really? Like, if I started peeing on everybody in this audience, it wouldn't be a decision. You would just move out the way, right? But then he tied that into the little boy who was doing a wrestling move on his sister and got a bunch of years in prison for accidentally unaliving her. And that was supposed to be like the viewpoint of the joke. Like what basically it applies to now. The viewpoint was basically like, how the hell did we get swept up in the justice system? Like when they say, you know, juveniles and minors and all this stuff, it's like they don't include us. The only like the disqualifier is black. Oh, you're black?
Yeah,
10 years old?
speaking of being like juvenile, they try to adultify black people. I just seen somebody say something like you know, I feel bad for his siblings now. I wanted to say this right here. Carmelo is the oldest of 4 kids, right? Austin is a twin, right? So both of the siblings are gonna be missing their siblings, right? Both of the victims, I should say. One of the things too that I want to point out is the fact that he is the oldest of 4 kids. He is a black boy who's growing up in Texas, and again went to take cover in a tent because he was trying to avoid a thunderstorm and rain, the downpouring of rain that came out of nowhere. As the eldest, alone, you know, somebody tell you to do something, you're not just doing it. Now add 17, an athlete and black, and add, you know, all of the different nuances. And on the reverse, 17, a twin, popular, a jock. Hey, this is what I told you. And then it's like a battle of like it's like this weird historic battle of, you know, I'm the cool black kid, I'm the cool white kid, and like I told you to leave, but then obviously somebody back is going to be against the wall. Anybody back is against the wall. You have the right to protect yourself and defend yourself, right? And then with the inconsistent stories of he was sitting down, he was standing up, Austin was over top of him. We've seen the video footage of Austin actually pushing him first. So it's about the perception and how we perceive threats. It's how we perceive threats. Scholar, you just mentioned something, how we perceive black people, you know, they perceiving this man, like you said, as an equalizer, when, you know, a Navy SEAL wouldn't be able to, you know, execute something like this with ease and you know, just off the humbug. But it's the perception of, you know, this super predator, when again, they live in the same neighborhood, their schools are ranking about the same, they do the same sports, same amenities, all types of things. It's an affluent neighborhood, right? And they're at a track meet, babe. They're not at no. It wasn't a drug deal going bad at 10 o'clock in the morning. This is nothing but ego, hate, and stupidity. And I don't really have much else to say about it. Skylar, you want to wrap it up or what? You have anything else you want to add? I don't think so. Okay. Well, thanks for popping out. Thanks for anybody who added something valuable to the conversation.
Not your
And
minute.
not I mean
Oh,
earlier
you wrapping it up?
earlier was a few, but yeah, I'm wrapping it up.
Are you sure you want? I got about 15, 16 more minutes of
Yeah,
a mirror, sister.
no, I can't. Maybe we could try it again when it's like a different group or a different batch, but it's just too much. It's too heavy, and I'm just not I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it. only because it's just too much. Like, Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Okay. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. All right. Subscribe to the channel. And again, I appreciate those who popped out, had something positive to say.
Jack, do you see that what the person in the chat put? Like he put shut it down. I don't know, Jay. You want me to carry? You want me to carry it? You just edited this out only because of this. Only because of this. I feel like their obsession is us. History books show that, right? And they feel like this is not only a victory, but they show up to the people who they feel like got a little bit of fight left in them, right? Or having these conversations, they try to dominate. Like the dude in the comments just put like, yeah, just go ahead and wrap it up. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to look back.
I know, and I don't want them to hear it either. This isn't the peace and love, queen. I ain't even peace and love, sister. I want to have the conversation the real way. I'm not interested in feeding and rage baiting and doing all of the trolls and everything like this. I'm just not into it. But anyways, thanks for popping out. Okay. I don't even feel like, oh, you gotta go, whatever, shut it down. Their whole life is shut down. Yeah, I'm not trying to get into it with these folks. I want to talk to the people who can touch and agree. Who
when did this become a cool magnet? I see black people in the comments put that weird like, bro, you can't make this. Hey,
no. Those are white people who are hiding behind.
Hopefully,
yeah, they're hiding behind. Black
victim card. White people are professional victims. That is insane. Y'all victims in the chat. Matter of fact, let me go block a couple of y'all so y'all can whine. Come back. Why did you allow them to block me? Freedom of speech. Did Martin Luther King die? Like that's how y'all do with y'all titty baby.
See. No, y'all. I'm gonna wrap it. We're gonna talk about it tomorrow. More details to come. I'm gonna be following this closely. Obviously, he applied for the appeal. He's gonna do an appeal, and I'm hopeful that we're gonna see some results, favorable results from that. Anyways, I'm out. As always, I'm sending you much love and much light, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.